Always loved the Murray River and especially the boats. And I started building boats, but unknowingly that the generations before me, the great-great-grandfather was on the Murray River with the boats. The grandfather was a barge master. When the river dried up in 1914, he left and went to Gallipoli, and where he got wounded but survived and took up a block in Merbein before the end of the war in 1917, the first allocation. We're standing down on the lagoon at Marook on board my paddle boat Tamara Ray. Just a beautiful spot and in amongst nature as it is, and of course it's on the river, it's beautiful.
Did you have anyone in your family to teach you how to build the boats?
No, not at all, no. Just I was engineer in charge at the Loxton Co-op in the early 70s, and I had a mate there that was into fiberglass, and he taught me how to fiberglass, and we started doing fiberglass caravan boat setup, and that gave me the kick-off sort of thing that, you know, it doesn't take much to achieve a little bit to get on the water sort of thing, but they get dearer from there, of course, so it's just the love of doing it and achieving something you can float in, and when you put a boat in the water that you built, well, it's another feeling altogether, you know, and yeah, that's where it started from. But then I built a cruising restaurant for the Mildura area. It was 100 passengers, it was called the Murray Moon. It was beautiful, full parquetry, dance floor, grand piano, full a la carte kitchen, staff of 5, I suppose. And that was something we'd run from Mildura up to Redcliffs of a night, put the lights around the cliffs there at Redcliffs, which is a fair run. And then we come back down to the wharf and be finished by midnight. And that was gorgeous, yeah.
What size boat are we talking about? 100 people, so how many foot would it be?
It was 66 foot by 25 or something like that. So
how long does it take to build a boat?
Depends how big it is, of course, and how much money you got. And the bit about that is if you can, yeah, once again, it depends how big it is. And, you know, that one probably took 12 months, I suppose. The one that we've got now, Tamara Ray, the stern wheel, that probably took me 10 years, but I built a lot of other boats in between time, sort of thing. So, yeah, it just depends on how much money you got, whether you have to wait to get some more money in to go on the next part of it, sort of thing. But I get great satisfaction out of building. Of course, you know, you just sort of don't say, oh, I'm going to have a month off or anything like that. You probably have a month off trying to raise a bit more money to go a bit further, sort of thing. But I've always worked with second-hand materials and whatnot, except for the restaurants and some of the big houseboats I built for a hire.
Do you think it's in your blood, the ability? Do you think it's in your makeup, since you have this big history of family that have lived on the river? It
must be, you know. Some families are into trucks and whatnot, and mine's in the boats, of course. The great-great-grandfather was mariner, and he was into boats and whatnot in Echuca, from where he was killed off the back of a barge. The barge was dropping back to go on the slipway, and he's hanging onto the wheel of the barge, and the rudder stuck into the bank and slung him up the bank, and he died 3 days later. There was no hospital in Echuca in those days, so his son, George, he was shipwright, and his son was, my grandfather, was a barge master. But they lived in Echuca. It was called Shinbone Alley. It was down where the sawmills and all the slipways and whatnot, which is just downstream from the Echuca Bridge. So Shinbone Alley was the workers' area in Echuca at that stage.
Who do you nominate as the next person that we'll meet for Pass the Passion, Tony Lyons?
I'd like to have Joan Hoffman put into Pass the Passion, please. She's a very special lady.